2025 Outrigger Challenge Cup. We ask the judges stand up for the national anthems of each country.
An emotional scene, to be sure, as the anthems of the U.S. Virgin Islands and Turks and Caicos are announced and played here at Jarrell Williams Bulldog Stadium as we welcome you back into the broadcast booth alongside Carter Henson. Ben Curtis, so glad to be with you as we kind of start to dive deep into this matchup, the first of the 5 matchups of the Outrigger Challenge Cup here in 2025. It'll be the U.S. Virgin Islands wearing the blue kits, and it will be Turks and Caicos who will be in the gold. Now, some transparency for you. We can tell you a little bit more about the U.S. Virgin Islands and who is out there during this match than we can for the Turks and Caicos squad, who unfortunately do not have their kits with numbers with them here in Springdale. So we'll be able to tell you a little bit more about who is doing what for the U.S. Virgin Islands. But if you're a fan of the Turks and Caicos tuning in, fear not, we will be touching on the side plenty about what they have done over the past couple of years and how they expect to approach this game. And we talked a little bit about the unknowns of Marshall Islands and Ozark United, Carter, but there's also a lot of unknowns for each of these two teams going up against each other, even though they are the more established nations and the more established sides playing in this tournament.
Right now, we'll go making
his senior debut for the
and
U.S.
Turks and
Virgin
Caicos
Islands. But yeah, a lot of unknowns.
goal.
Of course, a little bit harder for us, Turks and Caicos. Without their squad numbers, a little bit of unfortunate circumstance with that, that their game kits have not arrived yet. But we are still very excited to see both of these teams in action here in Springdale this evening.
We can tell you that Dylan Ramos is going to be the starter in net for the U.S. Virgin Islands. We'll see how busy he is today, which team is on the front foot. Ramos with Savannah Clovers, FC and ISA, but he will be on the move soon across the world to Kampfenget Football Club in the third tier of Thai professional soccer. Exciting times for Dylan Ramos, exciting times for each of these nations to be able to compete in this competition, and we are just about ready to go. It has been a long, long wait to build up to the kickoff of the Outrigger Challenge Cup in 2025. Naqwan Henry is standing over the ball for the USVI. And we are only waiting on the whistle of the head referee. It'll be the USVI moving from left to right across your screen. Turks and Caicos in the gold kit from right to left. The 2025 Outrigger Challenge Cup in Springdale, Arkansas, under a beautiful sky, is underway, and away we go as the ball rolls at Jarrell Williams Bulldog Stadium. The Dashing Eagles of U.S. Virgin Islands against the Turks and Caicos side, who is defending to start things out. It is Henry on the ball early on. Naqwan Henry across a couple of players, and he'll draw a free kick from just outside the box early on, less than 30 seconds in. And Henry, the forward who plays his club soccer in the USVI for La Raza FC, will earn his team a great opportunity only a minute in.
Turf of Bulldog Stadium here. The hydration breaks built in throughout both halves.
85 degrees Fahrenheit at kickoff. Still plenty warm even as we head into the 7 o'clock hour. Standing over the ball is Rakeem Joseph. Plays his club soccer in Antigua for Empire FC. At this kind of angle, Carter, you expect him to whip one towards the back post. Doesn't quite look central enough for the shot. Joseph will go for goal, and it is an early save for Turks and Caicos, but first shot on goal less than 2 minutes in, off of the play from Henry to set up the free kick. Do want to let you know about another kind of wrinkle to this format here in the Outrigger Challenge Cup. No splitting points here this week in Springdale. If we are tied after 90 minutes, we will head straight to a penalty kick shootout. And you saw in the Leagues Cup, another competition for professional soccer between MLS and Liga MX clubs, that they went to 90 minutes after, they went to penalties after 90 minutes rather, and the team that won simply got an extra point. Not the case here.
I don't know, with playing a back-to-back, I don't know that I hate that. You know, it's a little different, but I think we were both a bit surprised when that was told to us early on today, but I don't know that I have an issue with it. You know, 3 games in 5 days, pretty quick turnaround, or 4 days, really, excuse me, so pretty quick turnaround. I don't know that I don't mind going straight to the case after 90.
So if we do go to penalties, the winner of the penalty shootout will be deemed to have won the match in regulation. 3 points for them, 0 points for whoever loses the penalty kick shootout. Perhaps a tiny bit harsh to a team that was level through 90 minutes and then lost what some describe as the lottery. Here is the very fleet of foot Jannick Liburd, cutting it towards the center. It pinballs all the way around the penalty area. Still fought for and won by USVI, but a penalty. Jannick Liburd, though, looking very quick down that left flank. It has been the Dashing Eagles who have been on the front foot in the early going. Jett Blaschka, the right back, up ahead for Henry along that right channel, but just a little bit too much pace on the pass. And it will go out for a Turks and Caicos goal kick, who haven't really gotten their footing in this match in the first 4 minutes or so.
Yeah, just haven't been able to really hold on to the ball whatsoever. They were really able to break into the USVI zone. Some of the other here just at least complete some passes too. Get themselves downhill a little bit.
U.S. Virgin Islands being led by Terrence Jones, the manager of the nation who's also the head coach of New Vibes, which is a club based in St. Thomas. It's an interesting story to have your manager of the national team also be the manager of a club within that same nation. That's not something you see terribly often. There are instances in which coaches will manage the national team and another team. Perhaps the most famous example is that the manager of the Nigeria women's national team, which has a lot of great success at the international level, also coaches stateside. He's the University of Pittsburgh women's head coach as well. But to coach within a club, within a small nation, and to coach that national team is an interesting perspective for Terrence Jones.
So Terrence Jones probably sees a lot of these players a lot more than maybe a normal national team manager would, since he was play them week in, week out, domestically as well.
Took over in 2024 from the Brazilian Gilberto Damiano. Left the nation due to family priorities in September of last year, so it is really still early going for the U.S. Virgin Islands. Only 2 or 3 games under the feet of Terrence Jones. Last time that USVI played a competitive match was against the Bahamas in October of last year in the CONCACAF Nations League. Fell 3-1. They had a difficult go of it in the Nations League and League C. 3-0 loss to Barbados, 5-0 loss to Barbados, 3-1 loss to the USVI. They did get a draw against the Bahamas in early September as there's a player down along the far side. That looks to be Liburd.
So far, they're causing all kinds of problems for the Turks and Caicos defense. And really just a lot of high pressure from the Virgin Islands right now.
It has been the Dashing Eagles who have been on the front foot in the early going, no doubt about it. Good to see Liburd back up on his feet. It's another interesting angle to whip one in from about 30 yards away from goal. So you start to queue up towards the back post. You can see in the top left corner of your screen just over 6 minutes gone by. It is clipped towards the back post, but too much power on it. Quinn Farrell was the closest player to it. He played his college soccer not terribly far away from here, Louisiana State University, Eunice.
Junior college level.
There is talent all throughout college soccer, Division I down to D3, NAIA junior college, all the way on down, as you know well, Carter.
Joshua Ramos on the right wing here for the U.S. Virgin Islands. Played 7 years at Dalton State, the reigning NAIA national champions, although I do not believe he went pro before making it on that.
And now plays for one of the more respectable clubs in USL. Chattanooga Red Wolves have had a great go of it as Turks and Caicos, on one of their first main foray forwards, wins a corner kick. It's the first of the match for either side. Haven't really seen the visitors in this match get into their offensive set much at all, but just one run down the left channel means that they have the first corner of the day and work to do for Dylan Ramos and his defensive unit. Outswinger with the left foot incoming for the team wearing yellow. It goes towards that 6-yard box. Header won initially by USVI. Second ball whipped right back in, but it is always going to go wide of the cage of Ramos. And it will be just a goal kick for the USVI, but that is a little bit better for Turks and Caicos, who we haven't gotten to speak much about just because they haven't had the ball that much. But that will make the technical staff of Turks and Caicos feel a little bit more confident as we grow into this match. Ricky Hill, the man in charge of this Turks and Caicos side. Spent 13 years with Luton Town in the highest levels of English professional soccer. That's a run along the left side for Rakeem Joseph, closed down quickly and away. And Ricky Hill, an incredibly experienced manager, year number 3 with Turks and Caicos, as Joseph tries to turn and win a corner instead of deflected back the other way for Liburd, who is thankfully back up on his feet. He whips in a cross towards the center of the area, and it is out of the reach of everyone wearing USVI blue. So it'll be a goal kick for Turks and Caicos. When you run down the managerial career of Ricky Hill, you see some pretty impressive clubs and some pretty impressive lines on the resume. Montego Bay United, Tampa Bay Rowdies, who are one of the established clubs in the lower level of professional soccer. If you were asked to name 3 clubs not in MLS in the United States, yeah. He probably would be. That's a lovely turn from Joshua Ramos. We'll get back to Hill in a moment, but Ramos is away and he wins himself a free kick and perhaps a yellow. Referee having some words for the Turks and Caicos player who is perhaps fortunate not to see a card matching his kit. Ramos, who we're talking about from Chattanooga Red Wolves, 25 years of age, relatively experienced by USVI standards in terms of playing for the national team, 18 caps for him. But it is Joseph who is standing over the ball along with Liburd. It would be Joseph's left or Liburd's right foot as they size it up. 4-man wall for Turks and Caicos, and Joseph goes for goal straight into the wall. Tried to get underneath the wall, but they didn't really jump high enough. Liburd whips it right back into the mixer. Header not clear of danger. Second clearance only sliced away, and now Turks and Caicos able to get it away from the immediate danger. That's a lovely touch, though, by USVI just to knock it out of play and stop a counterattack. I mean, Matthew Roth is the furthest player back for USVI. He is playing with his heels right at the 50-yard line. He is playing at essentially exactly midfield where the ball was kicked off. It is an incredibly high press, and Liburd, full of running, continues to try to win the ball back. He gets himself in between two USVI players. Player taken down. Referee waves everything off. That was inside the box, and a player continues to be down for USVI. Clearance towards the middle is intercepted. And now we'll stop the game for the injury. That was a legitimate penalty shout for Naqwan Henry, and he continues to deal with the pain of the collision. But the referee was right on the spot and immediately waved it off.
Referee saw it a little better than we did, but perhaps he didn't have possession there. But it was a very legitimate penalty shout.
And unfortunately, the training staff going to have to come on, and the physios will have a look at Naqwan Henry, get a chance to kind of take inventory of the first 11 minutes of this match. Turks and Caicos does look like they are content to sit back, absorb pressure, and then hit USVI on the counter, but Virgin Islands just have had sustained possession after possession.
Yeah, Turks and Caicos really only had the one opportunity up this left wing, which did turn into a corner for them, but so far they're absorbing pressure. Only the one very good looking goal for the USVI squad so far.
Yeah, if you're Ricky Hill, you look at all the possession that has been going for the USVI, and you look at the real legitimate scoring chances, and you say there haven't really been too many. Thankfully, Henry back up on his feet just to close the book on Ricky Hill. Other places he has managed to be a manager. Luton Town, where he played for so long, was there for a year, 2 years with the U16, U17 set up at Tottenham Hotspur, of course, massive club in England. Sheffield Wednesday, U16s through the U19s, massive club. He was with Tampa Bay Rowdies twice. So he is somebody who has been around the block a couple of times. This unusual format, this unusual situation, I think is a benefit and an advantage for Ricky Hill, somebody who has coached in so many different environments. And that could be a big benefit for Turks and Caicos, if not even in this match, in the next one. And the one after that as the other teams tire and struggle to adjust to a format they're not used to. More pressure on the Turks and Caicos keeper. This high press for USVI, raising the heart rate of Ricky Hill a little bit, but this is where Turks and Caicos can punish USVI for that high line. Pass was just a little bit out of the reach of the intended target. Yes, they are. The Dashing Eagles trying to dash down the field. They are in no rush whatsoever, Turks and Caicos, once they get the ball back. Tempo very much being played at the USVI preferred speed. Creative pass down the left side. This is a little bit better for Ricky Hill's bunch. Numbers flooding forward for one of the first times for the gold shirts, and a shot right on to Ramos and his first save of the day. Whenever that ball bounces right in front of the keeper, though, Carter, it's far more difficult than it looks, especially on a turf like this that is meant for American football. We have heard players having a difficult time in training sessions finding their footing on a turf that doesn't really catch your cleats especially well. So if you're able to get that shot skidding low across the turf, a lot of different things can happen that you're not used to as a keeper.
Yeah, he didn't strike that one just perfectly, but it did knuckle a little bit, and on the turf, you never really know.
Little deflection that time, and it will wind up a USVI corner kick to defend, except nobody knows it but the referee. Turks and Caicos was happy to go back and defend, and the head referee overrules the assistant referee and says it is going to be a USVI goal kick. Might have gone back to a Turks and Caicos player last out, and that head referee was right there on the spot. Little dummy by Liburd, and not on the same page was Ramos. That was inventive, though, from Liburd. That through ball down the left channel, and an absolute golazo! 15 minutes in, and Turks and Caicos, completely against the run of play, find a deserving goal to get themselves on the board first. Well, all you need is one shot to get yourself right back into the mix. And that ball bounced off of that turf we've been discussing only moments ago perfectly. And a left-footed shot, an absolute screamer for Turks and Caicos. And it is the team in gold who has had so much defending to do, striking gold 15 minutes in. That is one for his locker for all time, and that might be the best international goal that he will score in his career. Put an absolute star next to that one, and that will only give Turks and Caicos more and more confidence as here they come again. Paul playing for SWA Sharks in his home nation. And that will give Turks and Caicos the lead. That goal brought to you by B Hydrogen. And we will see B Hydrogen quite a bit over the course of this week, but we might not be able to do so again better than the opening goal. Long throw in coming here for Turks and Caicos, and Ramos is able to collect it. Do want to again recognize our sponsor, B Hydrogen, the future of hydration. That goal brought to you by them, and that is a goal that you will want to be associated with in any capacity, as it gives Turks and Caicos the lead, and now USVI with work to do while caroming around in the penalty area. And it will go into the grateful arms of the Turks and Caicos keeper. And when you have as much possession in the first 12 to 15 minutes as the Virgin Islands did, nothing to show for it, and then Turks and Caicos comes the other way with a counterattack goal, it has to be demoralizing for a team that was on the front foot, on the ascendancy so much in the early going of the game. Yeah, the back line is about 10 yards further back than where they were when Turks and Caicos had about the same possession on the field. And that will allow the team in gold to continue to push further and further up. Wonder how much we'll see of Junior Paul and the rest of the starters out there for Turks and Caicos in tomorrow's match. That's a clever little dummy for Turks and Caicos. You can see in kind of real time which team is feeling more confident and unfamiliar confines for both. These neutral site venues, interesting for both teams, as Joseph on the move down the left side will just run out of real estate. It could very much come down to who is the more comfortable and the more confident of these teams, who are both, of course, playing on a neutral site.
Yeah, I thought USVI looked very, very confident those first 15 minutes. My goodness, they just have not been able to really complete the possession and get any real good looks at goal, aside from that early set piece that they won.
One player whose name we haven't probably said enough from a USVI perspective in the last 10 minutes, Naqwan Henry, had that great burst of speed in the first 90 seconds to win the good set piece opportunity. He's been relatively quiet as of late. Liburd on the ball, flipping it back up into the air. Liburd's going to win it back. He seems to be the first to all of those second balls. Clever to that left corner once more. Shouts for offside, not granted. Liburd back to the end line, chipping it towards the back corner. Through the goalposts for 3 points on a Friday, but it's a Wednesday, so it will instead be a goal kick.
The through ball from Liburd was excellent, though. Saw the extra, saw his man on the left wing there, just threaded it through multiple players. Himself an opportunity. Not aggressive game.
USVI trying to once again have this game be played at their speed, winning another turnover. Lovely chest down by Henry, and away goes USVI. Good interception, though, at the correct angle, coming across for the Turks and Caicos defender. Evades one USVI would-be takeaway, and now here comes another through ball down the left side. It's a foot race that Quinn Farrell is going to win just in the nick of time before it goes out for the corner. But Turks and Caicos have had so much joy with those through balls on the left side specifically.
Almost was off his line there too, but the player did not look up to see him. He might have had a goal there.
The long throw-in has already been shown to be a weapon for Turks and Caicos, and it looks like they're going to set it up again here. That changes your mindset defending a little bit in these areas, because you're a little bit more hesitant to give up a throw-in that will act as a de facto corner kick when you are able to wind it up as much as you can. It's worth knowing that there's a lot more room to work with along the far side, as you see it, along the right side as Turks and Caicos lines up to kind of run up into a throw than there is on this left side. Here comes the long throw, and still into the center of the box anyways. Turks and Caicos going to be first to it. Ramos trying to body off the ball, and here comes Ramos. 3 versus 4 in transition. He's got Henry ahead of him, and he gets taken down legally, says the referee. Just a throw in for USVI. So now it's the Virgin Islands who are sitting back and waiting for the counter. Still an impressive throw to get it towards that near post. Liburd is down again. That's the second time today. And that is a real shame as he continues to be stretched out. Hey, he is such an electric player for Dashing Eagles. First burst of speed down the left side. You know, we both do our research looking into the players on paper, but you can see in real time in person how quickly Liburd was able to move. And what a loss that would be. This will also convert, it looks like, into our hydration break as we hit the midway point of this first half. Clock is going to continue to run, and then we'll sort it all out in stoppage time at the end of the half. Liburd, a player who has experience overseas in Denmark, had a 5-week trial with Minnesota United, didn't end up resulting in a contract, but still somebody who has plenty of talent that catches the eye of teams with big stature. Only 23 years of age still. One of a number of players who were born and raised stateside but have the ability to represent multiple different nations. Liburd born and raised in Houston, Texas. Played for a club in the top league in Denmark for a little while. We're going to do everyone a favor and not do our best to pronounce it. Sonderjysk would be my best guess. We do plenty of research that does not quite extend that far. But that wasn't the top league of the football pyramid that he got the opportunity to play in for a brief spell. And signed a professional contract with them, but once it was terminated by mutual consent, he has struggled to really find a club at that level again. As we say, now plays for Rovers in St. Croix, but a huge talent and somebody you would think that USVI will look to be among the future of what they are trying to build over the next couple of years. And thankfully, he is back up to his feet. He is being taken out of the game, it appears, but with
he's walking off under his own power. You hope it's ramping this very hot and humid Arkansas weather. We'll say a little bit cooler this week. We were hoping for some cooler weather for the Outrigger Challenge Cup here in Springdale.
again, Turks and Caicos will look to break quickly once they get the ball back into the hands of the goalie.
Something I've noticed, you mentioned the turf being a little bit slippery. I've noticed at least 3 players have just fallen, just kind of while trying to cut from one direction to the other. Humidity, just a little bit more slick than normal. Again, it's an American football field, not a soccer pitch.
Good close down speed by Shabazz-Henry, Keene University product at Division III level of the NCAA, to make sure that nothing more comes of that through ball, but it will once again be Turks and Caicos possession high up the field. And here comes another long throw in again on that side where there is more room to take as just about as long of a run up as you want. You can get in a good 6, 7, 8 steps. It is a relatively short throw-in, at least by those standards that TNC have been able to put into place. Second ball is up for grabs, and anywhere will do that time for USVI. Let's get it long down the field and be able to push up your numbers a little bit more. Furthest player forward is Joshua Ramos. Henry in the attack as well for USVI. Again, a reminder of the schedule in case you weren't with us pregame. Tomorrow, this Turks and Caicos side will take on Ozark United U19s. Another great long through ball down that left side. We'll get back to the schedule in a moment, because here and now, Turks and Caicos might be away in a last-ditch defending sliding tackle by Quinn Farrell, able to save USVI more defending. That's an excellent angle that Farrell took. If he gets his degrees wrong, he could end up taking out player rather than ball, and that was in the penalty area where you really have to make sure that you're careful.
Really great tackle. He stopped himself a bit short there to make sure he draw the penalty.
Corner comes short to increase the angle. It goes towards the back post, and it goes up and over the goal for a harmless goal kick. Back to the schedule in case you weren't with us pregame. Do appreciate you joining us wherever and whatever time of day it might be. Turks and Caicos will play Ozark United at 5:30 local time. That is Central Time. 10 a.m. Marshall Islands time. And then the main event, 8 o'clock Eastern time. 1 p.m. tomorrow, or Friday rather, for Marshall Islands against U.S. Virgin Islands, as the Marshall Islands make their national team debut. So we just continue to build up for that moment. Loose pass in the back, and Ramos will get on the end of it, but he was dispossessed immediately. It looked like Ramos thought he had more support behind him than he actually did. Bit of miscommunication in the USVI attack. Worked out for Turks and Caicos. It's Matthew Roth who was just trying to make that marauding run down the center of the park. And again, Turks and Caicos, it is there for an experienced coach like Ricky Hill. His side growing into the game shouldn't necessarily be all that surprising. It was USVI, in case you're tuning in a little bit late, who was on the front foot in the first 10 to 15 minutes or so, but Junior Paul with a goal 15 minutes in, an absolute screamer off of the half volley to beat Dylan Ramos to his near post. And that is why Turks and Caicos has the advantage as we hit the 30-minute mark. Carmelo Rodriguez, who also plays for Rovers, trying to win the ball back. Instead, it's clipped over the top, and Ramos, Dylan Ramos, that is, will be there to collect in his own penalty area.
Turks and Caicos' right winger has been just done about the same run in each of the last 3 possessions, trying to call for the long ball. No one had seen him. I'm interested to see
USVI will possess in their defending half. If you're USVI right now, is it more of continuing to do what you're doing and trust that the goal will come, or does it look like the Dashing Eagles will be making some changes as we hit the half-hour mark?
Well, they were most dangerous, pressing really high. They backed off, and they have not been dangerous whatsoever since they have done that.
Turks and Caicos certainly has been, though, as they enter the penalty area again, but just a misplaced pass that time, trying to go out towards that right wing, and USVI will certainly take it as they take the ball back over. 31 minutes officially gone by. We'll let you know that our scoreboard that you see is about 14 or so seconds off from the official time on the scoreboard. So we are just a step or two slow here on the air, but certainly not a step or two slow today has been Joshua Ramos or Naqwan Henry, as Henry looks to get on the end of it along the left side. Towards the corner he goes, waiting for some support. USVI only has 4 or 5 players in the attacking area once they start to get numbers forward. I think the first couple of counterattacks from Turks and Caicos have made USVI rethink their strategy of sending 8 or 9 players high up. Now you see the holding midfield of USVI sitting a little bit further back, waiting for the counter that they know is going to come.
Nothing has really come of it so far, though, so I'm curious to see. Joshua Ramos has been the most dangerous of the USVI players. We'll see if they'll bring this high press back out.
Turnover caused by at least a little bit of a press from USVI. We've certainly seen more extreme versions of that press over the first 32 minutes, but a little bit better for USVI in terms of taking the ball back away. But there is a slip in the center of the park from Axel Bartsch, and Turks and Caicos can't quite make the most of it. In case you're just joining us, we did mention the pitch here is all turf, the artificial turf that is common with American football. That will lead to a little bit more difficulty finding your footing, quite literally.
Yeah, we've seen players slip multiple times, especially in the counterattack.
The USVI possessing in the back, looking to respond to Junior Paul's 15th minute goal. Henry trying to play the 1-2 along the left side. 2 gold jerseys converge on the ball whenever it's along that left side in the center of the park. And they win it back to Turks and Caicos.
You can really tell they're missing the presence of Jannick Liburd on that left wing. He is just so dangerous, but without him, they're kind of missing a lot on that left side.
The speed of the former Danish league player really unlocking a lot for USVI that they haven't quite been able to replace. That's a lovely little flick ahead towards the right side, and USVI can go again. Cut towards the end line, and again just running out of real estate. USVI have been able to get towards those corner flags often, but have run out of ideas once they get there.
I've had a blast watching Joshua Ramos.
Oh yeah.
In the midfield, so creative on the ball. A lot of creative through balls, a lot of creative passes there. And he's really been a reason they've had any attacking chance at all.
Another slip that time off of the goal kick, and USVI the beneficiary of it yet again. Ramos picking it up in the center with his head up again towards the right channel. It'll work out for a corner for USVI, their first of the day. That's all Ramos picking his head up and looking for the best option, playing for Red Wolves in USL League One.
First, I believe their third set piece of the day. We were dangerous off that very first free kick, but don't see many great chances from them since then.
Looks like it will be either the in-swinger from Henry. It looks like it will be Henry who will take it. The option is there short if USVI want it. They'll take it. And Rakeem Joseph couldn't quite catch up to that on the receiving end of the 1-2. It's a clever idea to improve the angle, but Turks and Caicos was able to read it just well enough. Matthew Roth will try the long throw in himself. There are a couple options for USVI. The turn and shot right into the gut of the Turks and Caicos keeper. Maybe the best chance of the day for USVI off of a long throw in from Matthew Roth. Good to know he has that in his locker as well.
Yeah, they weren't expecting. They took the long throw quickly. I don't think they knew that Ramos was in the area there. Throw went right to him.
Nobody else that USVI would want on the receiving end of that chance than Ramos, who makes a lovely turn. That's Bartsch rather to find Ramos. Ramos along the right side. Best save of the day for the Turks and Caicos keeper. And it will go out for another corner, and it is the Turks and Caicos netminder who remains down. I think he took the brunt of that one up high.
It's just a screamer shot from Ramos, and just again, he is the most dangerous player on this USVI side. All their good attacking chances have come from him.
That was all set up by the Occidental College product Axel Bartsch. Plays for La Raza in the USVI. This will be an out-swinging corner kick as they queue up towards the back post in the USVI blue. It goes towards the center of the box. Heads go up. Second ball will go right to the edge of the penalty area. Strike comes in. It's in the back of the net. In the 37th minute, USVI equalize. It's Carmelo Rodriguez. And the Dashing Eagles on level terms again.
That's 2 goals in the Outrigger Challenge Cup. Both just absolute bangers from both sides. Just 1-1 and
By our sponsor, Be Hydration, transformation of your hydration routine. And that has transformed this match from a Turks and Caicos 1-0 advantage into being back on level terms and a goal worthy of equalizing any match from Rodriguez. And the set pieces that Turks and Caicos conceding finally starting to catch up to them. 1-1 as we head towards the 38th minute. Rodriguez has not scored a goal in a competitive match for the USVI in his career. But the player who plays his club soccer in the nation he represents, able to get himself on the board, and now here comes Ramos again, ever dangerous, has options to his left and his right, goes down the middle instead, and caught in between two minds just a bit was Joshua Ramos. But you can sense that USVI is starting to smell blood in the water a bit. Turks and Caicos sitting back ever so slightly. Through ball down the right side will send Roth with some defending to do, and he does so excellently to win a goal kick.
Joshua Ramos is the best player on the pitch right now. He is dangerous anytime he's on the ball. There is magic is happening when Joshua Ramos is on the ball.
And for a coach as experienced as Ricky Hill on the other side, you wonder how halftime will adjust how much time Ramos is going to get on the ball.
Not triggering your press on him at all once he has it. There's a lot of space in the midfield. Just do whatever he wants.
But as soon as we talk about him, he is the one who is slow to get up. Thankfully, back up to his feet. USVI already dealing with a bit of an injury bug with Jannick Liburd, the electric left winger, already out of the game after picking up a knock. Into the final 6 minutes plus stoppage time. We will have a heavy dose of stoppage time over the course of this Outrigger Challenge Cup with the hydration breaks that are in effect, and we've had 2 goals to go along with a handful of injuries. Space to operate in the midfield for Turks and Caicos. Again, the left side is the preferred side for the through ball for the team wearing gold, and that will wind up in the USVI's possession. 1-1 through 39 minutes. Who would you imagine is the happier of the 2 coaches right now as we near halftime, Carter?
I would have to say USVI just because they did not create any chances there for a 20-minute stretch, maybe, and they were finally able to get a
Again, reminder in case you're just tuning in, penalties if we are tied after 90 minutes. No splitting of points. Winner of the penalties gets all 3 points that are up for grabs as the ball goes into the stands in front of a good crowd here at Jarrell Williams Bulldog Stadium. Of course, the main event for the attendance side of things will certainly be tomorrow night when the Marshall Islands play in front of a great Marshallese community here in Springdale, but there is a good crowd on hand here to witness 2 FIFA nations going at it in Springdale, Arkansas. Not all that often that fans in this community get the chance to see international soccer being played, and plenty in the community taking full advantage. That's a lovely weighted ball down the left flank. Running out of time along that left side, though, was Shabazz-Henry, so he just plucked it towards the middle and wasn't able to find anyone friendly in blue.
And I've lived here my entire life. I don't think there's ever been international soccer to be played, especially here at Jarrell Williams Bulldog Stadium. So really exciting just as a local resident to experience this.
See jerseys of a handful of different clubs around the country and around the world being represented, including 1 or 2 Ozark United kits. The community getting a new MLS Next Pro team, and the U19s will be part of this Outrigger Challenge Cup beginning tomorrow. Going to be really exciting to see them as well. Lovely footwork dancing around a couple of USVI players from Turks and Caicos, and they can go on the front foot yet again. Rakeem Joseph will want those 3 or 4 seconds back as he was sent sliding along the left flank. Oh, nearly another slip in the center of the park. Recovered really well, though, and look at all the space to operate for Turks and Caicos. Nobody picking up the player along the right side, and just a little bit too much on the weight of the pass. But, I mean, you can see all the space in front of that number 10 player for Turks and Caicos, not wearing the kit number 10, but in that position, once he was able to make the turn, nobody pressuring the ball in USVI colors.
Several times, but they just have not been able to connect with it.
Dylan Ramos will be able to get the kick away. 3 minutes to go plus stoppage time here in what has been an exciting first half. 2 goals worthy of goals in any international match. Junior Paul in the 15th minute, and then Carmelo Rodriguez responded for the USVI. If either team is able to get a goal just before halftime, will completely change the tenor of both of these teams' halftime talks. And look at who is set to take the throw-in for USVI. It's Matthew Roth, who had that long throw-in to help set up the initial opportunity for Rodriguez. Here comes another long throw. Second ball this time is going to be won by Turks and Caicos. Clearance was sliced away. Joshua Ramos is always where the ball is, and he is there yet again. And I think that is just going to be, will it be a free kick for USVI or just a throw? Ramos again a little bit slow to get up. Referee having just a talk to the Turks and Caicos player, and it will be a free kick for USVI, and Ramos will have an opportunity to whip this into a pretty dangerous position. Just over 30 yards away from goal, and they'll start to queue up towards the back post. Dashing Eagles looking for their first lead of the match. After Paul got Turks and Caicos out on the front foot 15 minutes in, Ramos won't have any wall in front of him. He'll be able to see this ball out pretty well.
Put that one a few yards ahead of where it was supposed to be. Ramos back.
They are queuing up very deep for USVI. You expect a couple of runs to be made as Ramos approaches the ball. Here is Joshua Ramos's service. He instead goes central, set play off the training ground for USVI, and Roth was closed down on the shot. Deflection went kindly to a Turks and Caicos player, and now here comes the team in gold the other way on the counterattack with numbers if they can hurry. That's a really important touch from USVI just to slow the play down. Quinn Farrell was able to get that away, but then Roth is beaten along the right side. His helping defense able to make sure nothing coming of it. Shabazz-Henry having his teammates back to knock it away. And now here comes what we expect to be another one of the long throw-ins on the side that is advantageous for the long throws for Turks and Caicos. 6 players wearing gold in and around the box for TNC. Ramos barking instructions to his defenders in net. The long throw comes towards the near post. Initial header won away by Roth. Second ball to USVI as well. That's a lovely little flick on. And Ramos is going to go 1-on-4 here. Now comes his support. Little hesitation move to get around his first defender, and then he lost the ball behind him. Just as he was starting to get support along the right side, there were 3 USVI players, including Joseph, who was making a lung-bursting run from his own penalty box, nearly towards his attacking penalty box. But Ramos just could not quite find him. 45 minutes are up here on the scoreboard. I can imagine a couple more on its way in terms of stoppage time for either team to steal a goal before we head to halftime. And the game plan is certainly clear for each of these two teams. Both of these teams know exactly what it is that they want to do in this phase of the game. And it's just going to come down to who is able to execute it better. Lovely run being made along the right side and acres of space to operate. 2 or 3 USVI players in the box as well, cutting towards the end line, back towards the middle. Ramos cleared off the line, and Turks Caicos was able to get to the second ball. If Ramos does that 10 more times, I think Turks Caicos would struggle not to pick the ball out of their own net once. But a last-ditch defending tackle denies Joshua Ramos his first goal and USVI's second just on the stroke of halftime. It was set up by Jett Blaschka, the right back, Marquette product, who plays his club soccer in Gibraltar for Manchester 62, and he had that great run with so much space along the right side and cleverly got to the end line to cut it in for Ramos. Sporting play from USVI just to throw it to the Turks and Caicos keeper, which is where the ball rightfully should have been after the play was stopped due to the injury. Tremendous community between these nations coming together for an event like this. Sportsmanship obviously at a very high premium. Good takeaway though by USVI yet again. That was Axel Bartsch who was able to win it back initially.
Decided to have a go at goal there from 35 yards out.
Well, it certainly won't go in the back of the net if you don't try, Carter. Turks and Caicos seems the team less in a hurry to get on with the game. I think Ricky Hill would be happy to get into halftime right now and reassess. See if there is one more opportunity for either of these two teams before they get back into their respective huddles and look for how to pick apart the opposition in the second half. That clipped ball towards the left side was read well by USVI. Clattering challenge in the center of the park will result in a free kick right on the midfield line. It's been a physical first 45 minutes.
Seen a lot of players go down. First yellow of the evening to the Turks and Caicos player.
An explanation for Carmelo Rodriguez, perhaps as to why it's not more, and perhaps asking the referee to take a little bit more command of this match. But it will be an opportunity for Blaschka to send one in and long. And that is the whistle right as the ball was being touched for halftime. And so we will step aside here as the couple of players having a discussion just outside the penalty area. Everyone will go to their respective corners, as it were, as the bell sounds for round number 1 here at the Outrigger Challenge Cup. A goal from Junior Paul canceled out from a goal from Carmelo Rodriguez. And after 45 minutes of play, it is Turks and Caicos 1 and USVI 1. Carter, your thoughts before we really dive deep into the proceedings of the first half here at halftime?
Fun half of soccer that was. 45 great minutes. Very soccer. Joshua Ramos, best player on the pitch. I would say here in that first 45, dangerous every time he touched the ball, and just a really excellent half of soccer for the Virgin Islands and the Turks Caicos.
While they are able to grab their breath and step aside for a minute, we'll do the same. We'll look back at the first half and head towards the second in just a little bit. We'll leave you, though, with the sights of Jarrell Williams Bulldog Stadium for just a few. At halftime, it's U.S. Virgin Islands 1 and Turks and Caicos 1.
Yeah, and some of these smaller nations, it's a good way for them to get more international games in, and it's doing to develop the team, it's doing to develop their soccer federation. So it's just a great format, and I agree. Promotion relegation, really unique on the international scene, and a really great concept. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Was interrupted, and so it will be USVI who will possess for the first time here in the second half. Already, Joshua Ramos has 2 gold jerseys around him. I wonder if Ricky Hill says, "Okay, lesson learned." That's going to be just about that for you, Mr. Ramos. line as the third defender. Back for Matthew Roth, switches the point of attack to the right.
He said, do not let number 11 touch the ball in this half.
USVI did not play out of the back that much or for that long in the first half. As here comes Henry with a fortunate bounce away, squares it towards the middle of the box, and will go out for a corner kick. Henry just was the recipient of a series of carrots, utilized his speed to get away towards that end line. And so the first set piece of the second half will be a USVI corner. Lead outswinger with the right foot. 7 will be in and around the box for the Dashing Eagles. Keep an eye on Ramos with all that height as well. A slip towards the back post. It was designed for Joseph towards the back post rather. He lost his footing, picks it up anyway, clips it back towards the center of the box. Header, what a save! What a save from the Turks and Caicos keeper. That's Samuel Harvey, who is in goal now for Turks and Caicos, and he made an absolutely spectacular save to deny USVI their first lead.
And who else? Who else was the one with the header other than Joshua Ramos?
Ensuing corner cleared away.
It looked like a certain goal. I thought it was in the back of the net. And what a save that was.
USVI with by far the best of the early opportunities.
Really stacking this back post here. Again, another run down the right side towards the center. It comes Naqwan Henry. Henry trying to utilize all that pace towards the end line. Towards the center was stabbed away. It's actually Sebastian Turbyfield. We can tell you in a moment. Caicos, my apologies. So he is wearing his fellow goalkeeper team kit. We have listed as number 1 in our resources. Sebastian Turbyfield with one of the plays of the game. Hopefully we have some kit numbers for the Turks and Caicos tomorrow. Just had some unfortunate circumstances playing some training kits here this evening. Yeah, direct is probably the best way to describe how Turks and Caicos is playing right now, and they're still kind of going for that direct counter attack as USVI content to hold possession here and press pretty high still. They're going to try this long throw again here, but again, it's on this short side, so just really 2 steps before you can try it, but USVI still stacking the area.
These two teams just feeling each other out at the moment. Use the boxing analogy as we headed towards halftime, and now we're kind of in the middle part of this bout, if you will. Yeah. But neither team really wanting to force too much pressure onto the other and leave themselves vulnerable at the back. We'll see if we can identify who that player is for USVI. Unfortunate to see a couple of players go down. Hopefully cramps is the main culprit at the moment. As we mentioned, it is a very warm and a very humid day here in Northwest Arkansas. See if we can identify who that is as quickly as we can. It is Ramses McGinnis, who is the player who is down. The Keene University product who played for Pittsburgh City United. As did Jett Blaschka, who is also in the starting lineup. I believe that McGinnis was the player who came on in for Liburd when he went down. So again, USVI will build out of the back. Again, have had difficulties doing so. Both teams have been preferring those long over-the-top balls or long through balls rather than building up the possession. Long switch of play over towards the right side and just running out of real estate. Again, we discussed the narrow confines of this field. That is one in which perhaps Turks and Caicos just not necessarily aware of the exact parameters of Jarrell Williams Bulldog Stadium with that long switch of play that didn't quite have enough room. We'll get back to that in a second as Joseph is going to get on the end of this. Squares it back towards the back post, just out of the reach of Ramos. It's the right idea from Rakeem Joseph, although USVI might have perhaps wanted him to be a little bit more selfish as Henry will take the shot that fizzed over the top of the goal. Whenever that trio of Joseph, Henry, and Ramos get forward, good things can happen for the team wearing blue, and your heart rate rises a little bit more if you're Sebastian Turbyfield. And Ricky Hill on the sidelines. Loose pass in the back and able to be picked up by Shabazz-Henry with a little burst of speed, but just out of the reach of Naqwan Henry. As this match continues to tick a little bit further and further on, the conventional wisdom of these kind of round-robin games is both teams settle in on opening day and say, you know what, a point's a point, especially against the only other FIFA nation in this competition. You live to fight another day, but that is not the case with this format. This format going to penalty kicks after 90 minutes and all 3 points going to the winner of that shootout. one of the exciting things is the prospect of such a penalty shootout. One of the other exciting things about it is that it forces both teams to go for the win in regulation.
You see both of these teams go for broke as they try to find the back of the net with this thing in regulation. Wants to go to penalties.
Certainly coaches don't. Players will say, hey, I can, take my fate into my hands a little bit more, but coaches, it certainly is not quite the lottery. That is kind of the cliche. There is a lot of skill to go along with the luck of a penalty shootout. But coaches unable to really have an impact on that the way that they can have on the field. Joshua Ramos has certainly had an impact on the field today as he picks the ball back up. Good 1-2 in the direction of Shabazz-Henry. He uses his physicality to win it back. 2 gold jerseys around him, so he heads towards the end line, goes down. It will be a free kick just outside of the 18-yard box. Clearly not in the penalty area, but not far off at all. This will be something of a glorified corner for USVI from just about the same kind of angle. And would imagine that there's only one player who's going to go over and take the free kick. It is going to be Ramos.
Almost taking his time to get over there. Serving a little bit of energy.
Along the near post, Rakeem Joseph trying to make a pest out of himself. 2-player wall for Turks and Caicos. What does USVI have in their bag of tricks here with one of the most dangerous players in the competition standing over? A free kick from a very sharp angle. Here it comes from Ramos. It is towards the back post. There's too much power on it. That's clever in the end from Quinn Farrell just to knock it out for a throw, or at least he tried to. It will in the end be a goal kick. We'll have a substitution here for US Virgin Islands. Not sure if our head referee is aware of it. A 4th referee certainly is standing there looking intent to give the substitution to the Dashing Eagles, and that is going to be Alfred Harris. So Harris coming into the game, also playing for Rovers SC. So that is the substitute for the substitute. But a good shift put in from Ramses McGuinness. He certainly made himself known, especially along the right flank. And Harris, player in his mid-20s who is not terribly experienced, only 1 cap for his national team, going to get a run of the last 30 minutes or so. The other part of the substitution game, going back to that conversation about the format, is oftentimes you'll see coaches substitute for penalties. You don't really have much of an opportunity to do that except for maybe the final 60 seconds, knowing what is still going to be at stake with both of these teams going for it as we head towards the final stages of this game, assuming it remains the same score as it is now. So lots of different layers to this opening match of the Outrigger Challenge Cup. You certainly want to get all 3 points now, knowing that the Marshall Islands will be something of an unknown quantity. Matthew Roth going to stand over this free kick.
The Marshall Islands playing their first ever game. We don't really know. We know a decent amount about all their players, but they've never played.
That ball will sail harmlessly up and over the goal.
Played their first international match. We really don't know. There's only so much we can root for that we don't know. We don't know what they'll look like tomorrow.
We'll talk more about it tomorrow, of course, when they actually play, but it is something of a double-edged sword in that, yes, the Marshall Islands don't necessarily know exactly what they're going to expect, but neither will their opponents. There is no scouting that you can do. Obviously, you can look at their individual performances at other locations, but as a unit, and these are some groups of players who have not necessarily all met each other, rather, before the year 2025. There is a very mixed group of players from all over the world who we'll talk more about in detail tomorrow for the Marshall Islands. But what a story it will be, what an atmosphere it will be here in Springdale. Again, it will be 8 o'clock local time. That is Central Time here in the United States. 1 p.m. Friday in the Marshall Islands. If you're in the East Coast of the United States, 9 p.m. Set your alarm. You're not going to want to miss it. Marshall Islands versus U.S. Virgin Islands. And then Turks and Caicos will get their crack at the Marshallese on Saturday, 1 o'clock local time start. That'll be bright and early if you're in the Marshall Islands. A little breakfast to go along with your footy. 6 a.m. Sunday morning. We'll have to consult on what the traditional Marshallese breakfast to go along with watching your national team play your second ever match is. Sounds like a question we can ask the players at dinner time tonight. Engage with the Marshall Islands Twitter, or X I should say, page, Facebook as well. Let us know if you have a Marshallese dish that you prefer to wake up with in the morning. Maybe we'll see if we can get some in the booth.
You know, the vibes will be very high.
They will.
And I mean, even during halftime, some of the Marshallese players came up here, and they're just, you can just tell it is a special week here in Springdale for all of these Marshallese players. And really just for the game of soccer in general.
Too long the Marshallese have had to be on the outside looking in. Other nations get to represent their nationality on this field that really is the global game. And now the Marshall Islands will get themselves recognized. It is less than 24 hours away. I was talking with Lloyd Owens this morning, who will be the head coach for the Marshall Islands in that match tomorrow. And I have seen him for the past 24 hours or so, and I haven't seen him without a smile on his face. I mean, the anticipation has just been a huge, huge level all the way around.
Substitution for
Worked so hard, not just building the MISF, but also, I mean, planning this event has been its own just mountain of a thing to accomplish. The international soccer here in Springdale, Arkansas is such a feat in and of itself.
Should certainly recognize Springdale High School for their hospitality. It is a wonderful facility here. Multi-level press box, absolutely sparkling fields. Have the big scoreboard off to the side. Everyone has been, of course, extremely welcoming and hospitable. The towns of Springdale and Fayetteville have both been wonderful hosts for this competition. Our fantastic sponsors that have helped the competition get itself on its feet. You've already heard a little bit from B Hydrogen, who will talk about more if more goals are scored in regulation. We have not spoken with our friends at B Hydrogen about if they're going to give them the nod after every penalty kick goal.
I feel like we should just give them the benefit of the doubt.
We were chatting with the folks over at B Hydrogen earlier on today. They do some really exciting work. Go on and check them out if you're looking for a little bit of a hydration boost, whether you're just starting your day or whether you're wrapping it up. Matthew Roth has been a big boost defensively for the Marshall Islands. That sends them along down the right side. Ramos looking for the turn, and in the first half he would have had that inside leverage to be able to turn, and in the second half the adjustment of the second player coming on has certainly been noticeable. Deny Joshua Ramos more time and space. Little flick on in the direction though of Naqwan Henry, who gets taken to the ground. Referee is going to show a yellow card in the 66th minute. Let's see if we can get confirmation on the player name for Turks and Caicos.
In the 66th minute here now, you can tell this game's grinding to a halt a little bit messier, passes a little bit sloppier, fewer incomplete passes, a little bit more physical push and shove on between both teams here.
This, unlike a lot of the opportunities that the U.S. Virgin Islands have had on the set piece, is one that you would imagine is set up for a shot. 25 yards out, extremely central. Unfortunately, here come the physios again to take a look at the player who is down for the Dashing Eagles. Good sign to see for sure.
This will be about 7 yards outside
Certainly looks to be where everyone's congregating.
Ramos is already holding this ball to his side, so I think it's safe to say he will be taking this.
Yeah, I think the least desirable place you'd want to be right now is between Joshua Ramos and the soccer ball. It certainly seems like he is the one who is taking command of this opportunity. Player who has looked the most dangerous of any wearing U.S. Virgin Island colors, perhaps of anyone on the field. Talked about Lloyd Owens, the head coach of Marshall Islands, knows that he will have a handful tomorrow to stop number 11, assuming he plays. Might not see Joshua Ramos at all tomorrow with such a quick turnaround of 24 hours or so. But it is Ramos all alone. They will mark off the 10 paces for the 4-man U.S. Virgin Island wall. Again, remember, Ramos had a free kick opportunity in the first half. He went low, trying to get the Turks and Caicos wall jumping, and the wall was able to parry it away. Make it a 5-man wall now for Turks and Caicos. Joshua Ramos, who has been so dangerous all day today. We had with 68 minutes gone by, getting the go-ahead to strike from 25 yards out. It's right into the wall. And now here comes Turks and Caicos with an opportunity. It's a great sliding challenge from the U.S. Virgin Islands to make sure nothing more came of that. Shabazz-Henry, not for the first time today, stopping a counter in its tracks. And it will wind up as just a goal kick. That seems to be where Shabazz-Henry has the largest impact on the game, because you could see it materializing for Turks and Caicos. They were starting to pick their heads up and run the other way. Another yellow for Turks and Caicos.
Turks and Caicos, a team who is so comfortable playing on grid, where he just made that not possible. Such a strong challenge there.
Not entirely sure what that yellow card was for, if I'm being honest. Must have been a challenge away from the ball.
Not see it, and don't think you did either. So neither of us certain here.
But will be a goal kick for Turks and Caicos as the lights are on and the sun's starting to set behind Jarrell Williams Bulldog Stadium. Just a wonderful scene set here for some international soccer in Northwest Arkansas. Here comes Turks and Caicos. I've not had that many chances in the last 10-15 minutes. It has been a phase kinder to the USVI in the attacking phase. Henry making up so much ground in a foot race. Naqwan Henry was about 10 yards behind the Turks and Caicos defender, and he closed the gap lightning quick to win a corner. And if you wonder about how much these matches mean to these players, the physicality has certainly been a factor, and Naqwan Henry just made a absolute gut-busting run after 70 minutes of very physical soccer, where he's had to be stretched out by the physios a couple of times.
Players are certainly not treating it like a preseason friendly. That is for certain.
This will be an in-swinging corner kick from the far side. 7 into the box. It's over the head of the intended target. Header just goes straight up. Keeper comes out, and a foul was spotted against USVI. I think it was as Sebastian Turbyfield came off of his line, he took a bump. And that is the way that soccer is being refereed in 2025. Referees giving the benefit of the doubt to goalkeepers up and down the soccer pyramid and into the international game.
It was Alfred Harris who was tagged on the foul there.
Yeah, this will be a cooling break.
Hydration break.
So this will give us an opportunity to set the scene for the final 20 minutes of this match. It certainly seems as though USVI is continuing to generate the better chances, but you think back to the first Turks and Caicos goal, that was against the run of play as well, when Junior Paul had that ridiculous half volley to lace it into the top corner past Dylan Ramos for the opening goal of the match. With just about 20 minutes left to play, you'd certainly would rather be USVI at this current point, but Turks and Caicos knows that they really only need one counter.
Yeah, USVI has certainly been the dangerous of the two sides here in this second half, but I mean, as you mentioned it, that Turks and Caicos goal happened in a flash in the first
while we have an opportunity, want to recognize some more sponsors who have made this possible. Slim Chickens has been a huge friend of this competition, getting it up and running, as well as Park, as well as Explore Springdale and Experience Fayetteville. These two wonderful cities helping be a part of this competition. As well as we would be remiss if we didn't mention the organization that has gotten us on the air, Spiideo, making sure that we have been able to bring to you this match from Northwest Arkansas. It has been a tremendous effort by a lot of people to get this broadcast on the air, as well as just to get this competition going in general. And we are certainly extremely thankful to Spiideo, who have graciously given this competition a lot of equipment to make this happen, and plenty of guidance and plenty of resources as well. And we're certainly very grateful to them. And we hope you're enjoying this match wherever you might be watching it, largely thanks to the good people at Spiideo. Turks Caicos looking to enter the attacking third yet again, being hounded though by Shabazz-Henry. And now here comes Ramos with his head up the other way. Finds the overlapping run along the left flank. Clipping it towards the middle, initially spilled and then corralled by Turbyfield. There's a player for USVI holding his head back behind the play. That is Shabazz-Henry. That would be a big loss for USVI if he can't continue into the final 15-20 minutes.
Saw some from faraway states in the United States, just all over the world. People are they're supporting this initiative, the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. So it's just an exciting thing to be happening here in Northeast Arkansas.
I believe I saw the Northern Ireland national team giving a shout. Minnesota United, an MLS team I saw, yeah.
St. Louis City.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting to see, especially from MLS teams, a lot of the newer clubs who know what it takes to kind of build something from scratch, showing love to the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. It is very much a small world in the soccer world.
Content creators here in
oh, yeah.
Copa 90 is here. The YouTuber Zealand is here.
That's nothing new, but here comes U.S. Virgin Islands again, right side. That is a dangerous challenge. USVI screaming for the referee. So far, nothing in it. Perhaps advantage played. We'll see if that challenge is revisited. Nice move by Ramos to get around one defender, not the second. It will be a throw, not a corner.
I don't know that he actually made contact.
I don't think he did. Oh, there will be a yellow card shown.
I thought he might have just jumped over and lost his footing.
And we'll see if we can speak to the people downstairs as to who that yellow card was shown on against Turks Caicos. Again, a reminder that Turks Caicos not wearing their kits with numbers, so we are learning as it happens down at field level. There's maybe 9 or 10 steps, and now there's another player down. And it's a player wearing Turks Caicos colors.
Wrestling up against that fence on the other side there.
The player is down right next to the post for Turks Caicos. Excuse me, and it looks to be in some amount of pain. Don't know if that was from a challenge that happened earlier, or if there was some collision as the teams were trying to jostle for position, but they're calling on the staff to come out and take a look at him. So expect to have a substantial amount of stoppage time is kind of the other side of the coin. Thankfully, they're now waving off the physios. And it looks like we are good to go. Farrell drying his hands with his shirt to make sure he has a good grip on the ball in a very humid night here in Springdale, Arkansas. And now the referee going to have to take control of this. and have a conversation with a couple of players. Carmelo Rodriguez is already on a yellow. He would be wise to step away. Referee having a word with him, and especially with Rodriguez, one of those players, you'd have to imagine he is on his last warning or two. The goal scorer who is also in the book with a yellow card. So finally, Farrell, who seems to have been waiting for quite some time, will be able to line up this long throw. He certainly has had the time to think about it, where he wants to go with it here. Axel Bartsch among the taller players in the box. Here comes the long throw. It's spilled by the goalie, and it's up and over the bar. Half volley taken by Henry, who is furious with himself that he couldn't get over the top of it.
Henry knows that he had a good opportunity there. The keeper was down, and the net was pretty open, just unable to put that one away. Just underneath it.
Don't know if he knew how much time he had either. I think Henry had a beat more to take a touch and then fire towards goal. Turbyfield came way out of his net, and he got kind of lost in the melee. Got just a touch to it to perhaps throw Henry off just a bit. But that was a golden opportunity. Out of play it goes, and it will be another USVI throw. Progressing further and up the field, the Dashing Eagles are. Turks Caicos has not had a shot towards the cage of Dylan Ramos in quite some time, it feels like. I think if you asked Turks Caicos now, they'd be the happier of the two teams to head right towards penalties as Ramos picks it up again. 3 gold jerseys around him. He still is able to turn and shoot, and Turbyfield is able to get a hand to it. He could not have seen that ball until quite late. With a screen or two in front of him, another loose pass in the Turks Caicos defense. And it seems as though the team wearing gold is tiring, and the team wearing blue with the gold accents, that is the U.S. Virgin Islands, is growing into it. Although, as I say that, a pass goes wayward, and it will be Turks Caicos throw.
And how was Dylan Ramos able to create anything? He had 3 jerseys around him. He chests it down to, or excuse me, Joshua Ramos. He chests it down to himself, turns, and still gets a decent shot on net.
How will Turks Caicos keep the ball away from number 11 for the rest of the regulation? We are into the final 10 minutes before stoppage time, of which we do expect there to be a healthy chunk. Can expect probably about 4 minutes or so. And this is the part of the game we started speculating on earlier as to what might happen with both teams, knowing that those unorthodox penalties could be in their future. Nifty move that time from Roth to navigate his way around a couple of Turks Caicos attackers. Go all the way back for Dylan Ramos. Nice play that time from Quinn Farrell to step up and take the ball back away. Back into the center of the park it goes for Henry. Long run along towards the right side. He's got Ramos in support, does Blaschka. It's still Jett Blaschka along the right side, 2, and now 3 gold jerseys collide. The clearance goes off of a teammate, and Blaschka will be able to pick it up as the beneficiary of it. Towards the end line he goes, trying to cut it towards the middle. It did go out of play, or a foul might have been spotted in front. That is just outside of the penalty area, and Turks Caicos cannot believe it on that challenge that Blaschka got stuck into right along that end line. Turks Caicos likely saying that that ball went out of play, but instead it is going to be another one similar to how it was on the near side, this time along the far side of those very corner kick-like plays. And this time it looks like it is Rakeem Joseph who is going to be the one to take it, especially as a left-footed attacker will be able to swing this one in.
What a run from Jett Blaschka that was, though, to even give themselves an opportunity here.
Turks and Caicos makes a substitution right before the play. In it comes to Henry, a swing and a miss. The shot comes in, deflected, and it is cleared away. That was Bartsch who had to swing at it. Now Roth will try his luck from a long way out, and he could not find the cage.
That's a training ground set piece if I've ever seen one, right there. The back pass to the top of the box. Just not able to get a clean shot on net. I do like the idea from the U.S. Virgin Islands, though.
It was certainly set up for Axel Bartsch, who had what looked to be a clean look towards goal, and the ball might have just bounced over his foot. And Turks and Caicos was able to hold off the latest Dashing Eagles' screaming attack. It is certainly the team in blue who has had the better of play in the second half. I can say, with the exception of a spell of about 15 minutes in the middle of the first half where it was all Turks and Caicos, it has been USVI's game. But we remain even at one apiece. A Junior Paul goal in the 15th minute. A Carmelo Rodriguez goal about 10 minutes before halftime. And that is all that we have had in terms of the goal scoring.
You have to wonder, is Turks and Caicos okay with going to penalties here at this point? They have just not been able to really make too much of anything here in the second half.
Well, the other side of that coin is, even though USVI will feel pretty good about themselves, Dylan Ramos has been largely a spectator in the second half. Meanwhile, Sebastian Turbyfield has been really engaged into this match. And if it does come down to the goalkeepers, as it so often does in penalties, you wonder if you wouldn't favor the goalie who has really been stuck into this contest rather than the one who has largely been standing watching play 80 yards from him. There's a lot of back and forth that come with these penalty shootouts. Think back to that wild England-Sweden penalties in the Euros this year, and it was kind of a similar situation in which there was so much end-to-end action that both goalies had so much to do in the last 30 minutes or so during the extra time period, really, that they had a really good read on a lot of the strikers because they had seen a lot of those same striker shots over the course of the 120 minutes that they played. Could very well play a factor. Shouts for offside will be given. Nice save from Ramos, but it won't matter. Although that could be even one little thing that could help get him back into the game, yeah. Just seeing a shot, even though it didn't count.
Yeah, when you're a goalkeeper who watches your team dominate for most of the half, it's hard to stay locked in down there sometimes.
We can confirm that once this game will be over, as Turks and Caicos looking to end it early on. Get back to that in a second. Here comes Turks and Caicos right into the gut of Ramos, whose counterpart, Sebastian Turbyfield, is, as it stands, going to be the man of the match. He has put in an absolute shift in this second half, especially just about 5 minutes into the second half. A tremendous save off of a header going back across towards his back post. And is at the moment really the decider. It seemed like just a perhaps turning point about 5 minutes into the second half, but now you look back on it and that's been the difference.
What a save, just what a save that was. But then Turks and Caicos started to look a little more weird this last 5 minutes. They had a few opportunities, one negated with an offsides, but that last ball up the left channel, and then I think it was intended to be a cross, but it ended up in the hands of Roth.
Instead of the long throw this time, bit of a different look towards Roth. That's catching practice for Turbyfield, who will actually leave it anyways.
That one might end up in the street out.
Turks and Caicos will pick it up again in the middle. That's a lovely little lead for Joshua Ramos, who is nearly away, stood up by the Turks and Caicos defender legally, says the referee. Good step by Blaschka will come to nothing as it rolls out of play.
Yeah, that was a good, clean challenge. And I maybe would have liked to have seen Ramos stay on his feet there. I thought he might have had something, but a good challenge from the Turks and Caicos defender.
More changes made by Ricky Hill. And Dylan Ramos is going to come out of the game as well. The goalkeeper for U.S. Virgin Islands is being withdrawn. As an unusual move. We'll see if we can confirm who is coming in form. As soon as we can, we will let you know.
Subs for a penalty shootout. This keeper may be better in the penalty shootout.
That is Whelan Joseph. At least his number.
He looks to be a little bit longer, a little bit lankier than Dylan Ramos, so maybe trying to fill the net a little bit more in anticipation of a shootout.
U.S. Virgin Islands trying to end it here in the 90 minutes. It's headed back across the box. And Turks and Caicos will clear it away. Anywhere will do for TNC right now. Joseph played his 2024 soccer for Eastern Illinois University. The new goalkeeper for the U.S. Virgin Islands. Shouts for a penalty. Referee will give a free kick. He'll say it happened outside of the box. They'll say it's about 2 yards outside, and
no VAR in the Outrigger
no.
Challenge Cup here, so what the referee says here will stand. It was a definite foul, though. There was no protest from the Turks and Caicos.
No, the only controversy here is about where the foul happened, and again, remember, it is where the foul occurred, not where the player ended up. Right. The referee was kind of motioning towards the towards the U.S. Virgin Islands player, as if to say, you jumped another 2 or 3 yards into the box. We actually have a bit of clarification. We were told before the match that the penalty kicks would be all 3 points. That is actually not going to be the case, we've decided. It will be 1 point for each team, but the penalties will have a huge impact because they will be the first head-to-head decider rather than goal difference. With Ozark U19s and Marshall Islands also to come in this competition. So apologies for the end around on that, but that is still going to be a huge deciding factor with these two teams looking to be two of the favorites to win the Outrigger Challenge Cup. But we might not need to get there, as it looks like it's Rakeem Joseph who will line this up from just outside the penalty area for the U.S. Virgin Islands in the 90th minute, saved onto the bar!
Wow. The man of the match does it again.
Sebastian Turbyfield paid the price to save this match for Turks and Caicos. He remains down. Oh boy, what a strike it was from Joseph, who was with his hands on his hips over towards his own technical area. And I think Turbyfield might have slammed into that left post as he moved from right to left to get just a touch onto the bar enough.
That was an unbelievable save. Absolutely. Left his body on the line, got the save, turned it onto the bar, and then retained possession of it. Unbelievable.
The last part of what you mentioned might be the most impressive. It's one thing to make the initial save and the other to control the rebound, because there were 5 or 6 players wearing U.S. Virgin Island blue who were swarming right around that 6-yard box looking for any sort of juicy rebound they could get to tuck it home. And Turbyfield, who we mentioned was already in the driver's seat to win man of the match, I think just sewed it up right there. Thankfully, he's back up on his feet. And with the way that he's been competing, he is going to have to be dragged kicking and screaming out of this match.
There are 2 saves from him that have gotten me out of my seat in the second half. It should be 3-1 to the U.S. Virgin Islands right now, and he has made it not so.
And we may very well decide it at the penalty spot because of it. We are past the 90-minute point. As you can see, well past it. Here in Springdale, Arkansas, and it is all now up to the referee and his watch. Ramos trying to chest it down for one more U.S. Virgin Island attack. Ramos couldn't get around his initial defender that time. Long throw in the direction of Ramos. Can he catch up to it first? A little touch towards the center of the box, and he will be called for a foul, and 2 players down, 1 for each team. A couple of clattering challenges put in, especially here in the second half.
I believe the right leg of Ramos found the head of the Turks Caicos defender there as they both were sent spilling to the ground.
So they're
talking about what it means, though. I mean, these players are letting it just leaving it on the field.
There's been physicality. There's also been plenty of emotion shown. A couple of times, referees had to separate some players. Players have had to kind of shield themselves between teammates and opposition, saying, hey, this is not necessarily worth the fight. Let's decide it on the field. But I mean, this is all you can ask for an international match. I mean, come on now. A couple of fantastic goals, tremendous saves, plenty on the line, and plenty of emotion. And the clock showing 90 minutes. We did say there would be a healthy amount of stoppage time. Drop ball will be taken by Turbyfield for Turks and Caicos. And it's all up now to the referee as to when we will decide things from 12 paces out. But still, we play on. It has to be difficult for these players not to know exactly how much time they have left. That ball did go out of play. It'll be a Turks and Caicos throw. Joseph might be in a bit of trouble here for kicking the ball away. Wouldn't be surprised if he saw yellow for that.
Turks and Caicos, they are asking for yellow for time wasting there. It's like they will play on.
Joseph, I think, was pointing towards the far sideline as if to say, I thought that the throw-in was going to happen on the other side. I don't know if that's a convincing argument.
You're about to send that to the parking lot.
I believe Lloyd Owens' car is parked right in that first row. Looks to be all good, Lloyd. No worries.
Pretty lined up with my vehicle that I can see that. There's a windshield.
One more chance for Turks and Caicos goes a-begging. And that is full time. The points are split, and we will head to the penalty spot to decide the all-important first head-to-head tiebreaker in this opening match of the 2025 Outrigger